Thank you. We're now at item Q. There's nothing in tenders and procurements. R is public question period. Our next item of business is public question period. We now invite any members of the public with us today in the chambers to please come forward to the podium to ask any questions about matters considered by council on today's agenda. There's a 15-minute limit for all questions during this period. Are there any questions from the public on today's meeting agenda or decisions? If so, please come forward and state your name for the record. Welcome.
Greta Archer. And I would just like to say, first of all, congratulations to the Mayor and to the entire Council. And just wanted to remind everybody that you have such an opportunity and a responsibility to lay a legacy for this city, one that others can follow. And with that in mind, you know, history, we want later on history to look back and see every one of you doing what is right and upright on behalf of all of us, the citizens of Brampton. I have two things. One, with regard to I want to say congratulations, Mayor, regarding your salary reduction. That is really commendable. And some of the other stuff is, well, just way beyond just us regular people. And I think, you know, the lack of attendance speaks to it. I lived in Mississauga for 22 years, so fairly new to Brampton. And I just really want us to take to heart the fact that there are so many issues in Brampton itself. Poverty, you know, child poverty, poverty on a whole, with even people who are working minimum wage, even middle-age income earners now are struggling. So we ask that you truly be responsible in how you use our money. And with regards to just that last issue regarding Councillor Dillon, I would like to ask, what is the feasibility of depending on, you know, budget issues, so on, what if all of those who support him use a little of your budget to put towards sending him? You know, and then you can see how it works so that maybe others can come on board, just how much value as a city we get, and just how we can have a feedback as a community. Okay? So that was it. Number two, could we have the ward numbers on your thing? You know, on your signs? Like in Mississauga, it's very visual, and I can know, you know, number 11 is so and so. So is that possible for the future? To put little signs so that, you know, when we're addressing and we know who lives where and the person representing us. Okay, my next issue is, Madam Mayor, regarding the issue of the Lord's Prayer. Today's session began with a beautiful prayer and invocation, but as a citizen, I believe, and my children are all Canadian, I chose to come to Canada. This is, a lady says in her singing of the national anthem, my home and chosen land, rather than my home and native land, right? So my home and chosen land, but my children are Canadians. What is our heritage here? And to me, the Lord's Prayer is a vital part of our Canadian Christian heritage, and this needs to be maintained in council, because what it says to me is that, you know, all of you are not proud enough, or not proud, but you are in humility willing to allow to be directed, guiding, given wisdom by God to do your job, right? And so it's very important to us to have that basis. Then, if you want to add a more inclusive one, as the mayor said Friday, November 7th newspaper, which was, Madam Mayor, a shock to me, to tell the truth, because I voted for you, okay? We had had enough of other things, and we need a fresh start. But this really hit me hard as a person who voted. This is the first thing that you brought. And I strongly believe, I'm quoting, that we should be respectful of our diverse communities. I agree with that, but we must have a basis. A base, and then we be inclusive. In all our homes, everything, we have our rules, we have our standards, and then we are welcoming and inclusive to other things. The Lord's Prayer is, to me, how much more inclusive can we get, you know? But anyway, that's just what I wanted to bring to the Mayor and Council's attention. It is, to me, like one of the most vital things. So, a question for you. I noticed it was absent today. So, was there a meeting that you had to drop it? Where did the idea come from to drop it? Is this your own idea, Madam Mayor? Let me pause there to just get that answer, and then I will continue.
So I'm going to let you go through all of your questions, and then I'll respond to everything, because we have 15 minutes for time, and I know there's other people that want to ask questions, so I want to get to the end of your...
Okay.
And then I'll respond.
All right. Okay, so that was those two questions. The next one, did members of your transition team advise you to do this? And 3, has any person of other faith asked you to do this? Is each of the regional councillors, regional and city councillors, in agreement with this 100% on this issue, in agreement with you on this? Again, how did you arrive at this decision to eliminate it? Because I'm here today and it was not there. And if so, if they're not in agreement, in a matter of transparency, we would like to know those of you who are not in agreement, and we want to know the names. Because I believe it should be maintained as a part of our Canadian Christian heritage, and everything addresses, like we think it's separate, but really it's not. State and religion. History tells us they're connected, whether we like it or not. And seeking direction is very, very vitally important. And maintaining why I came to Canada. Freedom, yes, but for the Christian heritage that I can pass on to my children and they to their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Archer. Was it Archer?
Yes, Archer.
Thank you. So I'll go through some of the things you talked about. Thank you for your guidance to us about the legacy. I think all of us are mindful, having sworn an oath, that we would do our best, and appreciate your good wishes. You asked about the financing and the feasibility, and I think certainly staff are working to find ways to assist councillors to participate in events that will benefit the city. The clerk has nodded about the signs that will be on the outside, so it assists those watching at home or in the audience to know what ward each councillor represents. I'll speak to the Lord's Prayer. At the end of the day, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms has indicated that since 1999 it is illegal for a municipal council to be reciting the Lord's Prayer in their council chambers, and we have been one of the outliers as a community in the city of Brampton. So as I arrived at council, I actually did a survey of all council and spoke with each person individually about a number of issues, and this was one. As you begin a new term of council, you can decide whether you want to continue to do things the way you used to, or whether you do for a new term of council, in this case 4 years, do something different. I'm not going to speak about what each councillor said individually, that if you want to have that conversation with each one, but the majority agreed that it was time for a non-denominational invocation to be part of our opening greetings at the beginning of a council meeting. So I agree with you that I am one who recites the Lord's Prayer when I pray, but that's my cultural background, And my goal here is to try and put the city of Brampton in a different place and to be not an outlier and to be leading edge. So each councillor gave me an answer, and the majority indicated either no prayer or a non-denominational was their choice. So that was the majority decision of council. I don't know that it's my idea, but I think as a mayor, it's important to provide leadership and to have a forum for conversation, and that's what I did. And I did that before I was sworn in. So I did that during my transition period. It was not an idea of my transition team, and I think that there are people, who will disagree with that decision, but what you do in your private faith moments is in all of our hands. So I appreciate that this is something that something you don't agree with, and my guess is, if there are going to be times when this council makes decisions that some of their residents don't agree with, but we can agree to disagree, and I appreciate that you came here and offered your best advice. Thank you.
Okay, just a very quick response. Do you think if you had said that in your platform, that, in running, that you would be changing it, do you think you would have got as many votes?
I'm not going to speculate on how things turned out. I don't know that this was the most pressing issue in the last election. I think accountability and transparency, and certainly our finances at the City of Brampton were more pressing issues for most residents, but thank you.
Yeah, but thousands I've spoken to are very disturbed by this, so we want to know what's the process to appeal to you on that matter.
I guess you could go to each member of council, and if we collectively made a different decision, but again, we are outside of what the Charter of Rights and Freedoms has told us is reasonable. And I'm getting our lawyer nodding, the city solicitor. Do you want to comment on this?
Through you, Madam Chair, you had brought up since 1999, and it's true, the Ontario Court of Appeal in 1999 came out with a ruling with respect to the municipality of Penetanguishing, where they were reciting the Lord's Prayer, ultimately went to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal determined at that point that to do so violates Section 2A of the Charter.
Which says, well, I guess I have to research.
So thank you, Mrs.
Yes.
Archer. I appreciate you being here today. Is there anybody else who would like to come forward and have a question or comment about today's meeting or decisions?